So let's dial it back a bit. So give a little bit of primer on Fanconi. If we dial it all the way back to February of 2010, Zach was born 2 months premature, and shortly after birth, we realized that he had a number of what I'll call deformities. Obviously, when you look at him, there's nothing that you'd really like visibly, that you'd have to look really close and be a student of these issues to notice anything. But he was born with only one kidney. His L4 and L5 vertebrae are fused. He was missing a number of ligaments in his hands, and he had bladder reflux, and he had a small hole in his heart that actually closed on its own. The doctors diagnosed this as VACTERL. Show of hands, who's familiar with the acronym VACTERL? Okay, very small. I am not going to be able to tell you exactly what every letter in it means, but it's a syndrome, not a diagnosis. It's a constellation. Gayatri, keep me honest here. It's a constellation of symptoms. It means that if you happen to have an issue with your extremities, like Zach was, he had no ligaments in his thumb. If you have that issue, that's the E in VACTERL, you probably also have problems with your vertebrae. That's the V. You probably are going to have issues with your heart, which is the C, the cardio. And again, not going to remember all of them, but they told us that he had these, the R was renal, that was his missing kidney. So we knew that he had all of these issues. And he had to have a couple surgeries in his first 18 months to correct a bladder reflux, and he had his own little version of Tommy John surgery where they transplanted ligaments from elsewhere in the hand into the thumb, and he's doing well and thriving. But we didn't know what was causing it. And one of the things, I think it was Gayatri who mentioned this, as the parent, it's hard to challenge doctors when they're giving you information and you think it's wrong. I mean, they've had to go to school for close to a decade, if not more in many cases, and they've had decades of on-the-job experience looking at horses, not zebras, and you think you've got a zebra on your hand, and to try to challenge them and say, okay, VACTERL is not an explanation, it's a description. I took a couple science courses in college. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about here, and it's really hard to be able to challenge them on that. And as we got involved in the Fanconi Anemia Research Foundation after his diagnosis, and being a part of the community of parents and seeing that everybody has gone through that journey and getting comfortable with the idea that you do know a lot about, you end up learning a lot about these diseases and that you have something to share with your doctors. It's a challenge, but it's something that you have to get comfortable doing.